Hey everyone, and welcome back to Safe Simple Sound. I'm your host, Alex. This episode fundamentally shifts the paradigm from thinking about college admissions as an academic contest to viewing it as a business transaction. It highlights two critical realities. First, that colleges are using airline-style pricing algorithms to determine exactly how much you are willing to pay, not just what you can pay. And second, that for many families, especially those in the middle to upper income brackets, the sticker price is often just a starting point for negotiation. If you are looking to protect your family's financial future and ensure a solid ROI on education, you cannot afford to miss this. It's time to stop guessing and start optimizing. Let's get into it. First, we are diving into the mechanics of pricing. Specifically, why your family's ability to pay is very different from your willingness to pay. Let's start with a concept called financial aid optimization. Now, most of us grew up thinking financial aid was simple arithmetic. You fill out the FAFSA, the government calculates your expected family contribution, basically what you can afford, and the college fills in the gap. It sounds fair, right? A plus B equals C. But in modern higher education, that model is practically extinct. Colleges aren't just looking at what you can pay. They are using sophisticated behavioral algorithms to predict exactly what you will pay. Think of it this way. It's no longer an award for need. It's a calculation of leverage. This is called enrollment management. The admissions office is asking, what is the absolute minimum scholarship we need to offer this specific family to get them to say yes? To understand this, you have to stop thinking like a parent and start thinking like an airline executive. We've all been there. You're sitting on a plane. The person in 14A paid $200 because they booked 6 months ago for a vacation. The person in 14B paid $800 because they're a business traveler booking last minute. Same seat, same snacks, same destination. Different price. Why? Because the airline knows the business traveler is less price sensitive. This is called price elasticity. Colleges do the exact same thing. They are charging different prices to students with identical financial profiles based on how likely those students are to enroll. They aren't trying to be fair. They are trying to maximize something called net tuition revenue, or NTR. View the college admissions officer as a portfolio manager. They need a specific mix of students to keep the lights on and the rankings up. They need some students to pay full price to subsidize the others. They need some high-stat students to boost their average GPA, and they balance this portfolio to get the most revenue possible. Let me make this real for you with 3 hypothetical students. We'll call them Jennifer, Marcus, and David. First, meet Jennifer. Wealthy family, 4.0 GPA, sky-high SATs. She is a high-stat, high-income student. The college knows she has options. She's applying to 12 schools. She has leverage. So even though she doesn't need the money, the algorithm suggests offering her $25,000 in merit aid. Why? Because if they don't, she'll go to a competitor. That merit aid is a coupon to capture her business. Then there's Marcus, low-income, incredible academic stats. The college wants him because he boosts their academic profile and diversity. They know he literally cannot attend without help. So the algorithm says, meet 100% of his need. It's an investment in the college's prestige. But then there's David. David is the one you need to worry about. David comes from a middle-class family earning, say, $150,000. He has a solid 3.7 GPA. Good kid, smart, but not a statistical outlier. The college knows David has fewer options than Jennifer. They predict his family is willing to stretch financially to get him into a good school. So the algorithm decides, we don't need to offer David a discount to get him, or maybe just a small token amount. David pays close to full price because his willingness to pay is predicted to be high, even if it hurts the family budget. This is why 2 students with identical family incomes can receive offer letters with a $12,000 per year difference. One had leverage, the other didn't. One was viewed as a must-have for the portfolio. The other was viewed as a revenue source. It sounds cold, doesn't it? But realizing this is actually empowering. It forces us to ask, how does viewing a college acceptance as a business transaction, rather than a reward for good parenting, change your approach? If you treat this like buying a house or a car, you realize that prices are often negotiable and leverage matters. You stop asking, is my child good enough, and start asking, is my child valuable enough to this specific institution's business model? So here is your takeaway for this segment. College tuition negotiation starts with the list you build. I want you to reflect on your current college list. Look at the schools your child is applying to. Are you applying as a buyer with leverage, meaning your student is in the top 25% of that school's applicant pool? Or are you applying as a seller, where your student is lucky to get in and you will likely be asked to pay full price? Understanding where you fit in their portfolio is the first step to saving thousands. Now you might be wondering, Alex, how on earth does the college know if I'm willing to pay? How do they know if I'm Jennifer or David? Well, the answer is a little unsettling. It involves digital tracking, zip codes, and how fast you open your emails. Stick around. In the next segment, we're going to talk about the algorithm's eye and how everything you do online is generating a score that determines your price. You won't want to miss it. Welcome to the algorithm's eye. If you think your student is just being graded on their GPA and their essay, I need you to pull back the curtain on modern enrollment management. While your child is stressed about calculus tests, the college admissions office is running a complex predictive model that assigns your family a specific optimization score. Think of it like a credit score, but instead of measuring your creditworthiness, it measures your willingness to pay. This score breaks down into 3 main pillars. First, you have the academic metrics. This is the stuff we all know. Class rigor, test scores, intended major. If you're an engineering major with high stats, your score goes up because you help the college's rankings. Second, we have the demographic factors. This is where it gets a little uncomfortable. The algorithm looks at your zip code. Is it a wealthy area? If so, the model flags you as having a high ability to pay, which might actually lower the discount they offer you initially. They also look at distance. If you live 500 miles away, statistics say you're harder to recruit, so the algorithm might suggest offering you more money to lure you in. But the third pillar? That's the one most families have no clue about. It's the behavioral data. This is the digital footprint your family leaves behind. We're talking about tracking pixels in emails and website cookies. The algorithm is asking, did your student open our marketing email? Did they click the link? Did they visit the campus for a tour? How quickly did they submit the application once the portal opened? Why does this matter? It comes down to 2 magic words: yield probability. Colleges are terrified of offering a valuable spot and a juicy merit aid package to a student who is just going to say no. It hurts their stats. So here's the counterintuitive part. Let's look at a student named Jennifer. High stats, wealthy family, applies to 12 schools but never visits campus and never opens an email. The algorithm puts her in the low-yield pile. She's a flight risk. The school might yield protect her, meaning they might waitlist her or offer her 0 money because they assume she considers them a safety school. On the flip side, take a student who engages. They visit, they email an admissions counselor, they engage with the portal. That represents demonstrated interest. That student moves from the maybe pile to the priority pile. Suddenly the algorithm says, hey, this kid is serious. If we give them a discount, they will actually come. I want you to pause and ask yourself, what signals is your digital footprint sending right now? Is your silence telling them you're uninterested, or is your zip code telling them you're willing to pay full price? Now there is a silver lining here. I call it the algorithm's blind spot. These models are built on historical data, what similar students did in the past. But your student isn't a statistic. They are a variable that can disrupt the model. Let's say the computer predicts you're only 60% likely to enroll. But then your student writes a killer why us essay and creates a genuine connection with a professor during a visit. You've just broken the pattern. You've made yourself more valuable than the data predicted. This disruption is where your leverage for financial aid optimization lives. You can outperform the historical model. However, we have to address the elephant in the room. There is an ethical dark side to this. Because these models are designed to maximize revenue, they often have built-in algorithmic bias. The data often shows that wealthier families are easier to enroll and bring in more revenue. So the system naturally learns to prioritize high-income applicants sending them more personalized invites and better recruiting perks. Meanwhile, low-income students, who might need that outreach the most, are sometimes flagged as lower probability revenue sources. It creates a barrier where families with less money have to work twice as hard to prove they are worthy of the algorithm's attention. So where does this leave you? It means you can't just be a passive applicant. You have to actively manage your data profile. Here is your call to action for this week. I want you to audit your students' interactions with their top 3 choice schools. Check the common data set to see if the school tracks level of applicant interest. If they do, ask yourself, have we shown enough love? Have we opened the emails? Have we visited? You want to signal high yield, that you love them, without looking desperate. It's a fine line, but walking it correctly is the first step to unlocking that merit money. Coming up next, we're going to take this a step further. We're going to talk about strategic positioning, specifically how to build a college list that forces these schools to compete for you, and the controversial strategy of when not to file the FAFSA. You won't want to miss that. It's time for the crucial part of our financial roadmap, strategic positioning. Think of this like real estate or a high-stakes job interview. You don't just walk in and hope they like you. You position yourself as the asset they can't afford to lose. For the families listening who are treating college like an investment portfolio, which, let's be honest, at $70,000 a year it absolutely is, this is where you earn your returns. Let's start with a topic that confuses even the savviest high-income earners: FAFSA strategy. We're taught that the FAFSA is just a government form, but in the world of enrollment management, it's a signal flare. If your family income is over $200,000, you likely won't qualify for federal need-based aid. So, the question is, do you submit it? Here is the nuance. Submitting the FAFSA signals price sensitivity. It tells the college's algorithm, we are cost-conscious. We are looking for a discount. If you are applying to a school that loves to give out merit aid to wealthy families to boost their stats, submitting the FAFSA can actually help you get that scholarship. However, if you are on the bubble of getting accepted at a highly selective school, sometimes not submitting the FAFSA is the power move. It signals, we are full pay, price is no object. In a need-aware admissions office, that signal might be the tiebreaker that gets your kid the acceptance letter over a similar student who needs $40,000 in grants. You have to ask yourself, are you trying to maximize aid or maximize admission odds? You can't always do both. Next, let's look at your college list. I want you to stop looking at it as a wish list and start looking at it as a leverage portfolio. This is the portfolio approach. A lot of families stack their list with reach schools. But financially, that's dangerous. You need a mix. Top 25%. You want schools where your student stats place them in the top 25% of the incoming class. That is where the merit aid lives. Top 10%. Then you want schools where they are in the top 10%. That is where the aggressive tuition discounting happens. Why do you do this? To create competitive tension. If you only apply to schools where your student is average, you have zero leverage. You need those safety schools, not just for admission safety, but for financial safety. You want a school that is begging you to attend, waiving a $25,000 check because you can use that offer later to negotiate with your top choice. But numbers aren't everything. You have to prove you're a human being, not just a row on a spreadsheet. This is about cultivating a high-value profile. Algorithms treat people like historical data points. Oh, another kid from this zip code with a 3.8 GPA. You need to disrupt that pattern. How? By proving you are more than a number. This happens in the Why Us essays and your engagement. If you write a generic essay, you're a commodity. If you write a specific researched essay about why that specific biology program changes your life, you become a high-yield prospect. You become a person they want to invest in. Finally, and this is the most critical distinction in the market, know if you're dealing with a buyer or a seller. A seller school is an elite brand. Think the Ivies, Stanford, MIT. They are selling a luxury product. They have way more customers than seats. They do not need to offer you a discount to get you to enroll. Optimization is less relevant there. A buyer school is a fantastic institution that, while excellent, needs to compete for top talent. They use merit aid as a recruitment tool, They are buying your students' high GPA to boost their own rankings. If you are a high-income family looking for ROI, you need buyer schools on your list. That is where the money is. So here's the question for you to chew on. For those of you earning over that 200 cal mark, is submitting the FAFSA going to help you get a merit scholarship or hurt your chances of being seen as a coveted full-pay prospect? And looking at your college list right now, is it balanced? Do you have enough schools where your kid is the big fish to force a bidding war later in the spring? Here is your call to action for this segment. I want you to open your browser and search for the common data set for your target colleges. It's a public document. Look at section H2A. It will tell you exactly how many students without financial need received merit money. That data will tell you immediately if they are a buyer or a seller. Don't guess. Look at the numbers. Now, once you've set the stage and the acceptance letters and the price tags start rolling in, the game isn't over. In fact, for many of you, it's just starting. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the negotiation phase, how to take those offers, use your leverage, and file a data-driven appeal to get the price down even further. You won't want to miss that. Welcome to the negotiation phase. Now, let's clear the air immediately. There is a pervasive myth out there that a financial aid offer is carved in stone. You get the letter, you see the number, and you think, well, that's the price. But in the world of financial aid optimization, that letter is often just an opening bid. We need to reframe this. We are talking about college tuition negotiation. Colleges operate like businesses. If you walked into a car dealership and saw a sticker price, you wouldn't just write the check, right? You'd look at the market value. Colleges are no different. They have enrollment targets to hit, and the appeals process is a standard business practice to help them close the deal with desirable families. So, how do you win this negotiation? You use competitive intelligence. Remember that sophisticated algorithm we talked about earlier? The one predicting what you're willing to pay? It has a blind spot. It assumes it knows your options, but it doesn't know for sure what other offers you have in hand. This is your leverage. If your student gets into their dream school, let's call it University A, and they offer $10,000 in merit aid, but a peer institution, University B, offers $20,000, you have a golden ticket. You can take that offer from University B back to University A. You're essentially telling the algorithm, you miscalculated. The market price for a student of this caliber is actually lower than you thought. This breaks the algorithm's confidence and forces a manual review by a human being who wants to lock in your enrollment. But, and this is crucial, timing is everything. I see so many eager families show their cards way too early. They tell the admissions officer in December, I will go here no matter what. If you do that, you've just destroyed your negotiating power. Why would they offer you a discount if they know you're already sold? Instead, save your strongest commitment signals for the spring. The most powerful phrase in a financial aid appeal isn't, I need more money. It's, University A is my top choice. If you can match this offer from University B, I will send in my deposit today. That creates certainty for the college, and certainty is something they are willing to pay for. Let's look at an example. We'll call him Michael. Michael is a dad, solid middle-class income, good saver, but looking at two schools with identical sticker prices of $72,000. The offers were wildly different. University A offered $20,000 in grants. University B offered $32,000. Michael didn't panic. He didn't write an angry email complaining about how expensive life is. He treated it like a portfolio manager. He approached University A, his son's first choice, and presented the data. He used the offer from University B as proof of market value. The result, University A came back and increased their offer by $8,000 a year. Now, $8,000 might not sound like a lottery win, but do the math. Over 4 years, that is $32,000 in savings. That's a new car. That's a chunk of retirement. All because Michael understood that the first offer wasn't the final offer. I want you to reflect on this for a second. When you look at an award letter, are you seeing a bill or are you seeing a proposal? Are you prepared to frame an appeal not as a complaint about need, but as a discussion about value? If a college is falling short of its net tuition revenue goals or enrollment numbers in April, you have more power than you realize. Here is the bottom line. The families who win this game are the ones who treat it like a game. They rely on data, not emotion. If you are sitting there staring at offer letters, feeling overwhelmed, or if you're trying to figure out if you have the leverage to make an appeal, don't guess. Here is my call to action for you. Schedule a strategy session with us. We will sit down, analyze your offer letters side by side, and identify the specific opportunities for a data-driven appeal. Let's find those extra savings for your family. And that brings us to the end of today's strategy session on the hidden economics of higher education. We've peeled back the layers of financial aid optimization to reveal that the sticker price isn't always the price you have to pay if you know how to play the game. Today, we moved past the basics to understand that colleges often treat admissions like airline pricing. We explored how merit aid is frequently used not just as a reward, but as a lever to influence your enrollment decisions. Whether it's understanding why a net price calculator is often just an opening bid, or how your digital footprint signals your willingness to pay, the power truly lies in the data. I hope the biggest takeaway you caught was that the first offer letter is rarely the final word. As we saw with the Michael case study, successful college tuition negotiation is entirely possible when you leverage competitive offers and craft a data-driven financial aid appeal. This is exactly what we mean here at Safe Simple Sound when we talk about the secured framework. By treating college admissions as a portfolio decision rather than just an academic contest, you are effectively seizing financial control of one of the largest investments your family will ever make. For links to the common dataset resources and a guide on analyzing your family's optimization score, head over to the show notes at safesimplesound.com. If you found value in decoding these algorithms today, please leave a review and share this episode with other parents currently navigating the high school years. And you won't want to miss our next episode. We'll be continuing this series by breaking down the alphabet soup of financial forms, specifically the critical differences between the FAFSA and the CSS profile, and why your family might look wealthy on one form and needy on the other. Thank you for trusting me with your time today. Keep asking the hard questions, keep crunching the numbers, and keep making sound financial choices. This is Alex signing off.